Helen,
And I'm Liz,
and we're sisters
scientists,
and lifelong X-Files fans.
and this is We Want to Believe.
Hello. We're
Hello.
back.
Yes. And I just realized I thought I started my dishwasher, but I don't hear any noise, but it's lit up. And my husband has not been home for a few days, and I'm just like rapidly becoming aware of all of the things I don't know how to do because I never do them. And I never start our dishwasher. And I'm like, why isn't it doing anything?
You know, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot. As I may have said, sometimes I read these articles that are like, you know, written towards women, and it's like, you know, all the unnoticed labor that goes into running a household, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I sometimes read it and think, am I the husband? Like, you know, I don't know. There was a time Adam was out of town a few years ago. This is so gross, but I realized there's a lot of standing water in my bathtub, and I realized it was because Adam was emptying the hair every day and I didn't know it. And so it was building up while he was out of town and I was showering. So, you know,
Gross.
stuff like that. Yeah. Or like doing loads of laundry. I don't do laundry.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. I also kicked up into a headstand in a narrow part of my hallway and
I think it's on a
the-
picture. It was impressive.
It wasn't there. It was in a narrow spot where the basement door meets the other little bit of wall where our fancy smart thermostat is. And I kicked it off the wall.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like immediately. It was like my heels had an unerring instinct for hitting that. So I had Mom stand near me and just make sure I didn't hit the thermostat after that. I think it's working again.
Oh, jeez.
But it was just like immediately, I just was like, okay, let's do this, and just smashed my foot into it. So I don't know. I'm working on being able to do a handstand in 2024. So
It's a good goal.
I think it's a good goal. Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a somersault.
Oh my God, you should. You should learn to do a somersault in 2024.
One of my colleagues is a former gymnast. She was at like a college gymnast. She was at a
cool.
D1 school. And I can't remember what the prompting was, but like on the last day of classes, she ended up doing like a cartwheel backward something or another. And I was like, oh my God, Tanya, I can't even do a somersault. And so she offered to teach me. So maybe
She should teach you. That'd be better than when I tried to teach you. That was probably just traumatizing.
Although I don't know that I need a professional gymnast to teach me how to do a somersault so much as like my 6-year-old.
I
So
mean,
we'll see.
I don't know. At this point, you might need professional help.
Yeah, that's true.
If it hasn't, you know,
Of what kind?
happened now.
So before we get into the episode, a super low key content warning. I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's
I have a
brief...
few updates that are not related to the episode. Should we talk about them first?
Sure. Yeah.
One is an update from last week. Remember I talked about how I heard something about Twisted Sister being Satanists when our grandma was listening to religious radio? I was looking into that a little bit more, and Dee Snider had like testified in Congress when there was like Tipper Gore and this big push for like explicit content warnings on music and how, you know, it's corrupting the youth and whatever. And he's talked about like how important that was to him and how Twisted Sister was sort of the poster child for that movement of they should be banned or whatever. And so it makes sense that that's why I happened to hear Twisted Sister mentioned. And then I also was reading how he stopped some Republican politician from using "we're not going to take it" at their rallies, that he was like, no, that's not cool. But then he did let what it is that in general, a lot of right-wing politicians have used that, and he will be like, no, you're not allowed to. No, you're not allowed to. But then somebody wrote to him to say, we want to use it in a campaign for gun control. And he was like, yeah, you can use it. And he's talked about how he's a gun owner, but he's like, we need to have responsible gun control. This, like, people are like, kids are dying. This is outrageous. So you get to use, we're not going to take it.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Oh, good.
Yay, Dee Snider.
And then, unlikely hero.
Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, it just felt like something that should come up on the podcast. Did you know about Boise, Idaho's New Year's Eve celebration?
Is this with the taco? No.
No.
Okay.
But you're not that far afield.
Oh, okay. No, I don't.
Instead of a ball drop at midnight, they do a big potato drop. They have a potato.
Is it like it's a fake potato, I'm assuming. Like a giant.
It looked real to me. Boise potato drop. Yeah, the Idaho potato drop. There's like fireworks, and I want to see the actual potato. I think it's a real potato, is my understanding. Yeah, that looks real to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's like a big like a russet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I just felt like that was information you should have. And it
yeah,
reminded, I mean,
time.
it's not a taco, but given that you were talking about eating potatoes on your tacos,
yeah,
related.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had those right before this again.
Nice.
So
mild content morning.
Yeah. There are very brief, non-specific mentions of suicide, but they're not detailed and very brief.
Gotcha.
But just a heads up.
Okay.
So this is Fresh Bones.
Yes.
And we open in North Carolina, and there's a woman asleep, and you hear like some little kids waking up in the background. And she's like asking her husband to get up, but she sees he's not next to her. And he's in the bathroom and is like coughing or something, or is potentially sick. And he comes out though and is like, "What's the matter with you? Can't you hear the baby crying?"
Whoa.
And he's wearing dog tags. It's clear he's in the military.
Okay.
And so they're kind of sitting down to eat breakfast. And she says she had another one of those awful dreams last night. Oh. And he says, "I didn't sleep long enough to dream," which is just like, I don't know, such a classic asshole response.
Yeah. Like, "Oh, you had a bad night? Let me tell you how mine was worse."
Yeah. And she suggested he should go to the doctor. And
Smart.
He starts like screaming at her and flipping out, and her and the toddler both start crying.
Oh, gosh.
And then we see his point of view. He's eating cereal, and suddenly he looks down and there are maggots. Ew. And he freaks out and runs out of the house and drives away. And as he's driving away, he looks in the rearview mirror and his face is all messed up. Like it looks like it's like bleeding and like he's like corpse-fied. And so he like tries to bang the rearview mirror out of its socket or whatever and crashes the car.
Okay.
And the tree that he crashed the car against, we see like a symbol in white paint or something like that on the tree.
Oh, interesting.
Then,
okay.
Yeah. And so then we get the intro.
Okay. And I just want to say that so far, this sounds a lot like that other X-Files episode that you did with the no sleep.
Oh, yeah. Totally different, though.
Yeah. With like, well, there's a vet. They're not sleeping. They're a jerk. And they're hallucinating things. That was...
That's true. Yeah.
That was Sleepless.
Sleepless. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Anyhow.
So we find out that his name is Private John McAlpin. And Mulder and Scully are on their way to investigate. They're in the car talking. And the military is calling it a suicide. But it's the second one recently in the same unit.
Okay.
And it's not quite a military base. It's a military based.
Did you say it's a military based, like past tense of base?
So it's not a military base, but it's like military are based there. It's a refugee camp.
Okay, right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they say that there were riots recently, about a month ago, and a 10-year-old boy was killed in them.
Ooh.
And the wife, Mrs. McAlpin, is all she's known as, contacted the FBI when the military refused to investigate. She says that her husband was not suicidal. She doesn't believe it.
Huh.
And so she called them to investigate.
Okay.
So they go to the tree. They see the scene of the crash.
And when you say they, you mean Mulder and Scully?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they see the symbol on the tree. And Scully says it looks ritualistic, which made me laugh because there's like memes that go around and stuff where implying that when an anthropologist doesn't know what something is used for, they just claim it's ritual. And like, that's like the catch-all for anything we don't know.
Yeah.
And it's pretty accurate. Yeah. And Mulder says, well, there are Haitians in the camp. And Scully immediately asks if Mrs. McAlpin thinks voodoo was involved. Okay.
What?
So we're going to pause.
Not for real, right? You're not telling Zach to pause.
No, I'm not telling Zach to pause.
No, we're going to pause from talking about okay. Please, let's.
And I would like to know what you know about voodoo.
Okay. So I watched that Disney movie with the frog.
Great movie.
Yeah,
just
The Princess and the Frog.
From everything. Yeah.
I believe it has voodoo. So
kind of.
Kind of. I know that.
Okay.
I know that there's voodoo and there's hoodoo.
Yeah.
I don't know the difference. I think one is bad. Maybe they're both bad. Maybe they're not. Interestingly enough, I don't know if it's interesting. I said that perhaps too early. But there's that book you won't read that is the X-Files Origins book about Mulder as a teenager.
Not on purpose. I just keep not reading it because I have better things to read.
Well, then it's a book you won't read because I don't think you're ever going to hit a point where you're like, I've read all the good books. Now it's time for this one.
I guess so.
Because we're just putting out more books. Which, by the way, depending on when this episode comes out, you may be able to go on Amazon and search Mighty Millie Novak and find my book. Maybe.
No kidding.
Yes. And it might not be yet, but very soon, possibly by the time this episode airs.
Mid-January? Is that
Mid-January,
like the... Okay.
Yeah. And the cover won't be revealed until mid-February. And they said, Liz, please don't go all hard promoting it till we have the cover out there, unless it's people already interested. But everybody listening is already interested and should go buy my book because it's better than X-Files Origins.
Well, so does that mean we can pre-order?
Yes. Yes.
And pre-orders are super important to authors, especially newer authors.
They are.
So,
yes.
Please go do it. How cool.
And so that's exciting. Anyhow, that also has voodoo. So what do I know about voodoo?
It's okay if that's it.
Dead stuff. Definitely dead stuff, maybe.
Okay.
Or something. Magic. It's definitely magic.
Okay.
And it may or may not be evil. And New Orleans. Definitely New Orleans.
Okay. Those are all words.
Those are all words. I guess I really thought I knew more about voodoo, but when I'm, actually on the spot asked about it.
Well, there's a lot of super common misconceptions, and there's a lot of information out there that is inaccurate. And
dolls.
Dolls.
Yeah. Of course. Voodoo dolls.
Dolls. I also, when we're talking about like popular characterizations of it, I also think of the movie The Skeleton Key. Did you ever see that with Anna Paquin?
I never saw it. Do you know that me and Katie once made a voodoo doll?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we made one of her cousin Nick out of toilet paper and toilet paper rolls, and then we went in the backyard and we stabbed it with a fork, and we would take turns spying on him to see if he reacted. And he was watching a football game, and at one point he went, ooh, because of the game. But we were like, but maybe it's because of the doll, and we stabbed it. I don't know if we got like his hair or anything. I think it was just meant to look like him, but it was just, a bunch of toilet paper taped together, shaped like a person that we poked with a fork in Katie's backyard. We were probably 9. Because it was at her old house. So we would have had to have been 9. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry. So yes, voodoo dolls, of course. That's what I mostly know about, and I don't know how real they are. So tell me.
Yeah, I will tell you. So voodoo is a religion that is based in Haiti and has African origins. And I would like to pause for a minute. Again,
this is like Zach. Inception. This is like a pause within a pause.
And ask you, what do you know about Haiti?
It's on the other half of the Dominican Republic.
Yep.
And I know there was a very bad earthquake there. And I know that the Dominican Republic has quite a lot of resorts. Because of travel business stuff, but that it's one of those things where I kind of get the impression that like there's resorts, and then there's a lot of crushing poverty, and that's kind of icky.
Yeah.
And then, but Haiti is on the other half, and it doesn't have resorts we send people to. I mean, I don't send people to the Dominican Republic ones either. I know that in the movie Clueless, when Alicia Silverstone talks about the Haitians, that she was actually mispronouncing it. The actress was, and they went with it. Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't in the script. She thought Haitians was Haitians. Amazing. So yeah. And they were like, yes, let's use that. So
that's great.
So that's the other thing I know about Haiti.
Okay. So those were words as well, but those were some pretty those were some pretty accurate ones.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna
Okay.
So so Haiti is pretty interesting. Most of my information comes from two books. One is Pathologies of Power by Paul Farmer, a medical anthropologist, and then another Mountains Beyond Mountains, which is written about Paul Farmer, the anthropologist. So he spent a lot of time working in Haiti and helping to build clinics and helping to build like sustainable clinics that were run by locals. And
cool.
So he died not that long ago. But I actually during COVID, I got to see his organization. I don't know if it's his, but he was very involved. Partners in Health that was doing a lot of the work in Haiti. And I got to see like a webinar of theirs cool. that I was part of. Not like part of, like I didn't present, but attended.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't know, maybe how you felt when you saw Beyonce. Like I don't know. I felt like Farmer. And luckily my friend Melanie felt the same way. And so I had one person that I could text and be like, how cool.
Farmer. Okay.
But yeah, he was a super cool guy. So most of my information from Haiti comes from stuff by him or about him.
Okay.
And so, there's a lot of political instability there, especially within the last couple of decades. People have heard of like Papa Doc. That was I think he was a president, but he ran it more not like a president.
Gotcha.
Duvalier.
That name is sort of familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. Francois Duvalier.
Okay.
And he was elected as president of Haiti.
Like actually elected or like elected?
No, like, like air quotes elected.
Okay.
And he originally was popular. But then he got very, very brutal. And very not cool. And he died in the 70s. And so like since then, there's been some political instability and stuff. But the history of Haiti, I think, is super interesting. So it is the other half of Hispaniola, which is
that's the name of the island that Dominican Republic is on. Yeah.
And so Haiti originally was home to, I want to say this right, Taino, I think, is the name of the indigenous people that live there. And they're related to the Yanomami of the Amazon.
I've
the
heard
Taino
of them.
people, were originally. And so people originally on the island were coming from South America. And then it was colonized. Surprise, surprise. And there was some Spanish colonization, but then the French had a pretty long rule in Haiti.
Okay.
And so they speak like Haitian French. Is a French dialect that they speak there. But what's interesting, I think, is that so during the French Revolution, Haiti started to revolt.
Okay.
And so Haiti is actually I want to say it could be the first, but it's either the first or the only successful slave revolt that turned into a free country.
Wow.
So during the French Revolution, they revolted and they were led by a general whose name I'm forgetting. Toussaint Louverture.
Yeah, I just Googled this and was like about to attempt to say that, but it's great that you took a turn. Great. Wow. Cool.
Yeah. And so he led the revolt, and so like they battled French troops, and then they battled like Napoleon's troops as well.
Oh my God.
And were successful.
That's amazing.
And yeah. So that was super cool. So Haiti has been there's a lot of African influence and like slightly less colonial influence than maybe some of the other islands in the Caribbean, just because that they were able to get rid of the colonizers, in it still was like 150 years, but yeah, comparatively. So that is an extremely brief history of Haiti. Okay. So
now we unpause
voodoo.
Haiti and we go back to
we
voodoo.
Unpause Haiti. Okay. Yes, we close those parentheses.
Yes.
And voodoo is a religion. Some people say that it's monotheistic. It could be thought of as monotheistic because they believe in one God. But some people claim it's polytheistic because they also believe in and again, Iwa? I'm not sure. IWA. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm gonna go with
God
Iwa.
knows I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah. So. And those are kind of thought of as like angels or spirits or saints, but they play like more of an active role. So there's like the mono versus polytheistic. So the monotheistic God, or the God part of this, is not super involved in the lives of the practitioners, and is seen as mostly benevolent, but certainly not bad. There's no like antagonist to him like Christians have, like Satan.
Oh, interesting.
And it's an established religion. It has roots in Africa. And so then when we talk about hoodoo, which you also mentioned, hoodoo is kind of an American version of that, so to speak. Voodoo got brought over to New Orleans, especially, but in general, the southern United States. And so hoodoo is kind of voodoo mixed with some more American,
like Christian stuff, or
so there's some Christianity mixed in to this. There's some Christianity kind of mixed in with voodoo as well.
Interesting.
But there's also like some what is it I'm trying to say? There's also some like abolitionist origins.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it was like kind of voodoo mixed with some like enslaved people traditions mixed with some Christianity.
Okay.
So what I recall from the movie The Skeleton Key is that's
a horror movie, right?
It is, yes. It's very creepy. And what I remember from that was that like, voodoo is fine. Voodoo is good. But then like there's like hoodoo is the bad version.
See, I did see the Skeleton Key because that rings a bell to me. Yeah.
And that's not true at all. These are both just religions.
Okay, that's interesting. All right.
Yeah, with no sorts of bad versus good. I mean, so there's black magic can be a part of it, but just like how black magic can be a part of like twisted Christian traditions as well, where people
but not
would
twisted
say, like,
sister,
but not twisted sister. Yeah. No. So anyway, so that is
so voodoo is a legit religion in Haiti.
Yes.
And hoodoo is a legit religion in the U.S.
Southern United
in the
States.
South, kind of mixed with voodoo and its own thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So this episode is interesting, I think, because it gets some things wrong, obviously, and makes some kind of generalizations about voodoo that are also incorrect and probably based in stereotypes and racism. However, they bring in some like interesting stuff about the refugee camp and about the US's treatment of refugees.
Oh, wow.
And how the US military has done like some actual bad to refugees in our country.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway, so they go to talk to Mrs. McAlpin.
Right.
And she says that one of the boys in the squad told her that about the symbol and said that it was voodoo. That's how she like came to know about it.
Okay.
And apparently the same symbol was found at the other scene. Now I'm going to skip ahead. This is not too long of a tangent, and tell you that that is a veve. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a V accent grave, V accent grave.
Accent grave. Yeah, that one always makes me a little bit insecure. Yeah.
Really?
I feel like accent aigu, that I know what to do with. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. Accent grave? I don't know.
Yeah.
I get
so
concerned.
That's why, same. That's why I'm going to say veve, I think.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And it's like a symbol that represents like the different elements and stuff. It's not any sort of like weird evil thing. It's used pretty commonly. Anyway.
Oh, so you know it separately. You don't learn in the episode that it's
right. No. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No. I learned.
Okay.
And that apparently her son had recently dug up a large conch shell in the sandbox that had the same symbol on it. So she's creeped out.
Yeah.
Which, like, to be fair, if I dug up a shell with any sort of symbol I didn't recognize on it in my sandbox, I would also be super freaked out.
I mean, even if it was a shell with like an exclamation point on it, it might be weird, you know? Like...
So Mulder and Scully go to the camp. And someone intercepts Scully and is speaking rapidly in a foreign language. And a little boy kind of like pushes him away and tells him to leave. And kind of starts like trying to sell Scully some protection. And he's like, you know, a pretty lady needs protection, and is trying to sell her a charm. And Mulder buys it from him.
Okay.
And so they keep walking through the camp, and they get to the commander, Colonel something, Wharton, I think, Wharton, something
Not
like
sure
that.
how to pronounce
Starts
that
with
one
W.
either.
He's the colonel.
Okay.
And he says, you know, oh, I'm not sure why you're here. You know, it seems straightforward, you know, doing that thing.
Mm.
And he claims that voodoo beliefs caused the riot that killed that boy, and says that he was able to identify like the guy who kind of started the riot, who's named Beauvais.
Okay.
And,
that rings a bell. All of a sudden, I'm like remembering things because I've seen this episode. It was a long time ago. It stands out in my head as like, I didn't have strong feelings about it one way or the other. Like it wasn't one I repeated a bunch, but it wasn't one I hated either. So I don't know.
I feel very similarly.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's been detained. So he's I don't know. He's in a cell, essentially.
Oh no.
And so Scully is going to look over McAlpin's body, and Mulder's going to go talk to Beauvais.
Okay.
So Scully's in the morgue, and her and the guy, medical examiner, whoever he is, mortician guy, open up a drawer where the body should be, and there's a dog's body inside.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's pretend. Let's just be clear. It is a pretend dog.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you know how I am? I'm going to look at my actual dog for a moment.
Oh.
Looks good. Good stuff.
Good.
Oh, he does a stretch. He does a big stretch. He's a stretchy boy. Okay. So
Mulder,
there is a pretend dog's body in a drawer.
Yes, there is.
Cool.
And Mulder is...
Wait, hold on. You know, oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Not in Beauvais' cell. In the morgue. The place where the guy who died should have been. Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so Mulder is going to see Beauvais, and he's talking to the private who's leading him there, and he's being kind of cagey and like, you know, saying, oh, I can't answer that. And Mulder's like, you can't or you won't. And he's just quiet, that sort of thing. And Mulder asks Beauvais about the symbol. And Scully comes in, and they haven't been talking long, to tell him about the missing corpse. Yeah. And Beauvais knows why she's there before she says anything. So it's kind of like, oh, how does he know? You know?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So Scully thinks that Beauvais must have switched the bodies or had someone else do it.
Mm-hmm.
And her and Mulder are driving in the car, and it's night, and they're talking about this, and someone is just suddenly walking in front of their car.
Oof. Like
And
that werewolf that you saw when you were driving in Beloit. Yeah.
Yes, just like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except this is Private McAlpin, the
What?
guy who died. Uh-huh.
Whoa. Okay. I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So they take him to some sort of psychiatric facility, and I know this because it's labeled as such in the bottom left corner of the screen. And he's nonverbal, won't respond, and is just kind of sitting there. And his blood tests are normal, except he has tetrodotoxin.
Hang on just a sec. I remembered something else that I know from pop culture about voodoo. Zombies.
Yep, that's where we're going.
Yeah, I don't know how I forgot that. Of course, zombies. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Zombies. Dolls and zombies.
Yep.
Duh. Yeah. Is there some... God, I feel like I've read about this, but now I'm like, did I read about it? Was it this episode of The X-Files? Like, I don't know. Some deal where it's like, how real are zombies? I mean...
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
How likely is it?
Yeah, they're like a 7. So I don't remember enough, but something where like, oh, somebody's like all weirded out and zombie-ish because they took some medicine and it makes them seem like a zombie or something. Clearly that I don't remember this well enough to contribute anything really. But how did I forget zombies? That's their whole deal. So what I mean in pop culture.
Right. Yeah. So Mulder suggests zombies.
Got it. Awesome.
So tetrodotoxin, though, do you know what that is? TTX? No.
Do you think I know what it is?
Fair.
Yeah.
No. I know from a foodborne pathogens class in college, which was super fun. And I felt like real superior to everyone because I'm a vegetarian. Although as
I remember when you
we've talked about, with, there are plenty of ways to get poisoned. Not that I'm suggesting any.
As we've talked about, there's plenty of ways to get poisoned.
So it's the pufferfish toxin.
Oh, I should have known that one.
In fugu.
Yeah, like in that Simpsons episode.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. So Mulder suggests zombies and is talking about a researcher named Wade Davis and his research on the zombification phenomenon, and that apparently he found that tetrodotoxin is common in the zombification process. So I was like, okay, well, let me see if this is a real guy. And
Please
it is.
Let it be real. Yes.
Yeah. So Wade Davis is a Harvard researcher who spent some time in the 80s in Haiti researching, trying to find out what was in some of the potions and powders and stuff that people were using for zombification. So
okay, I'm gonna say a phrase.
Okay.
And if I suddenly remembered it when you said powders, and then I was like, is this from this episode or is it something else entirely? And if it's not from this episode, this is gonna sound crazy. Goofer dust? Does that mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't.
No? It's real stupid sounding, but that's like a thing with like, it's a traditional hexing material.
Oh.
From the hoodoo tradition.
Oh,
says
no
Wikipedia.
Kidding.
Sure. Yes. It comes from some other word. And it's sometimes used as goofering is a euphemism for poisoning. And it is got things in it like graveyard dirt and ash and powdered bones and herbs and spices. So that sounds like it's the proprietary blend of whatever, KFC. So I don't know where I picked that term up, but it just came to me.
Yeah, I don't know either. They don't mention it, but they use it. They show it, and now we know what it's called. Thank you.
Goofer dust.
All right. Huh. Yeah. So Wade Davis, so I looked him up. He's a real guy. And it's some of the articles about his travels to Haiti are like, in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when during the second task in the Triwizard Tournament, when Ron
The
Weasley,
underwater one.
yes, the underwater one, where Ron Weasley is like Harry's thing he has to rescue. And how Ron like wakes up once his head breaks the water, touches air, whatever, and you know, kind of helps Harry help this other little girl, Fleur's little sister.
Fleur's sister,
swim.
yes.
Right. But then as the like story keeps getting told by Ron, it gets to like where he's like fighting off all these mer people.
Yes.
And he's like stealing a trident from them or something. And like, you know, so it has like that sort of like, I believe some of this is real, but I think some of this is you being a 14-year-old boy and being like, you know.
Was he actually 14 at the time?
Ron Weasley was. No.
Yes. No, not Wade Davis though.
No, Wade Davis was not. No.
Okay. Yes.
Being a white man in the 80s about it.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Or a 14-year-old boy in the 90s.
And now I'm kind of picturing Jay Peterman, I don't know, in Seinfeld.
Yes.
So
yeah. Yep, that's not far off.
His stories. Yeah.
So there's a lot of like his accounts of being like, you know, he had to, you know, he was given a false product that wasn't actually the real zombification medicine, but then he was able to get the real stuff and he tricked the sorcerer into believing that he took it and was fine, and then he finally showed him where the real stuff came from. And so like there's
gotcha.
There's like some where like I believe that he was in Haiti, somehow got his hands on this stuff, at least enough for it to be analyzed in a lab somewhere.
Gotcha.
But there's some embellishment.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But there was tetrodotoxin found in the the gopher dust found in the potion.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is like one aspect, more of like the black magic aspect of voodoo, but it is not voodoo. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So Mulder is now wondering about the other Marine who died. So the one prior to McAlpin, because he was the second. And so they go to the cemetery. They have a license to dig. I don't know what that should be like my tagline.
You should have a shirt that says that. Yeah.
I've got a license to dig. I do. It's right behind me. You can see it on the wall.
You actually have a license to dig?
I mean, I have I'm a registered professional archaeologist. I have a number.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. And there's a guy there, a cemetery guy, and his Rottweiler who's pissed. But otherwise very nice, and nothing bad happens to him. I'll tell you.
Thank you. Yep. Very good.
And the guy says, "Oh, it's too late. The body snatchers got there first." And he doesn't seem surprised by this. Just like, "Oh yeah, body snatchers."
Oh, okay. Sure. All right. Yeah.
And he says that they come and they snatch the bodies and sell them to medical schools that need cadavers.
Oh, like in the olden days.
Right. But this is like 1994 in North Carolina, which I
fair.
I didn't do the research on this because I didn't want to like dignify that with my time. But I'm pretty sure there weren't like common grave robbings in North Carolina in the mid 90s.
So no, I mean, it was pretty noteworthy when there were like grave desecrations and robbings in Highgate Cemetery in London in the 70s.
Right.
I mean, that was like wild stuff. And now they're very, very careful about, they keep it locked and you have to have a guided tour and all this stuff because they don't want to go back to that craziness and all that, like people trying to get a vampire and stuff. It's crazy stories about Highgate Cemetery in the 70s. Real weird stuff. But yeah, okay. So sure. As if it's like the olden times and they're gonna need to get bodies for their like public dissection in the anatomical theater or whatnot. Okay, except it's the 90s. All right.
Which again, happened.
Yes, but
in the US, but not so recently. Yeah. And he says that also some voodoo practitioners use the body parts for medicines and potions, which like clearly we're supposed to think that's what happened. Not
Got it.
this.
Okay.
And he says the line, which I think is real funny. This is a desecration. This is uncool. I just felt like, yeah, grave robbing. That's uncool.
They should have like a whatever like the grave robbing equivalent of dare is to like, grave robbing is uncool, man. Like
yeah. They then look over and they see someone digging. And are like, someone's in the cemetery digging. And so they go to talk to him, and it's the kid who sold them the charm.
Oh, okay.
And he has some frogs in the sack he was carrying. So they're like, let me see what's in that sack. And it's just some frogs.
Okay.
And so they take him to get some food. And he says that he sneaks out of the camp and then goes back. Like he's part of the refugee camp, but manages to sneak away and then just goes back. And that his parents are not with him. And his name is Chester Bonaparte. And he seems like a scrappy individual and says that Beauvais pays him 50 cents a frog.
Okay. He's catching frogs.
So he's catching frogs.
And the frogs are okay?
Frogs are okay, yeah.
Great,
yep.
great. There was a lot of animals that weren't in the last episode I watched. So, and then on the other hand, the De Hand of Verlitz.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
On the other hand, there was a snake that ate Bulldog from Frasier. So anyhow,
not a bad trade-off.
I think the snake was also that teacher. So anyway, I'll let you continue.
We already did a whole episode on that.
Yeah. Yes.
So Scully says that bubotoxin in frogs is similar to tetrodotoxin, which is mildly correct in the fact that they're toxins that hurt people and cause vaguely similar symptoms. The thing about tetrodotoxin, though, is that so it's found in pufferfish. Pufferfish are found in the Caribbean.
I really just wanted you to say nature, and that would be funny. Like they're not man-made. You can get pufferfish in the Caribbean. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but this is the interest. Well, okay, depends on who you ask. This is the interesting part. So tetrodotoxin is produced actually in a symbiosis between bacteria and pufferfish or other aquatic animals.
So they're like working together to make a toxin.
Yeah, and it's sometimes different bacteria, so different species of varying genuses. And whereas bubotoxin is made by frogs. Yeah.
Just by the frog. Does the fish know it's collaborating with bacteria to make a toxin? Or is it like it's not a choice?
No, it's not.
It's not like those sharks that let the little fish hang out near them or whatever. It's not like that.
No.
Okay.
It's like
all right.
That bacteria colonize.
The more I think about it, the stupider it is because you can't. We don't need to belabor this. We don't for a number of reasons. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. So my point, I guess, is that like it's kind of similar, but also it doesn't need to be similar because I don't know. I think maybe they just like didn't want to show him trying to collect pufferfish because that's harder and can't be done in a graveyard. I don't know. Which
I imagine not.
Also, if you have not Googled pufferfish lately, you should because they're adorable. They're like surprisingly adorable.
I haven't Googled it lately. Oh, look at you guys. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? Do they do that when they're scared?
I think so. I don't know too much about pufferfish, unfortunately.
Neat.
Mm-hmm.
And it all reminds me, I've been talking to Archer about how he's venomous when he's getting his chemo.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a pufferfish. He's a pufferfish.
You got to very carefully fillet him before you try to eat him.
No, like on that.
I mean, that's the problem with fugu. Yeah.
We do not fillet the archer. We're not filleting the archer. No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. The podcast can't be me talking to the dog. But anyway, he's toxic sometimes, but not at the moment.
Yeah. So Mulder says, so they're sitting in the cafe and Chester goes to get some fries. And Mulder says that he thinks they're being followed. And so he goes to check on it while Scully stays inside with Chester. And it's the other private, the one who was showing Mulder down to Beauvais' cell.
Okay.
And he says he needs to warn them. We later find out his name is Dunham.
Okay.
So
that's what we will call him.
Yeah. So he says that Beauvais said that he needs to the colonel that the colonel needs to let the Haitians go, or his people will die one by one, the colonel's people. So the military.
Yeah.
And since the deaths, the colonel has been ordering beatings of the refugees.
Jesus.
Yeah. And the guy also claims that his former fiance died after her father reneged on a business deal, and her body was found to be full of snakes. And that's just kind of like left there. That's all we find out about that.
All right.
So yeah, they go back to the car and Chester is missing. And so they see him run away. But they don't get to him in time. And suddenly there's a black cat just sitting there. And so what we're supposed to think is Chester turned into this black cat.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Do you remember, and have I told on here the story about the cat in my apartment?
Yeah, you did say that.
Okay.
Was one-eyed?
Yes. Showed up randomly.
Showed up inside your apartment.
Inside the basement to my apartment, and it was meowing at the door to the basement that was in our kitchen.
So weird.
Yeah.
So weird. Do you think it was anyone transformed? And if so, who?
I don't know any people with one eye.
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
TBD.
Yeah.
So they go back to talk to the colonel, and he's sitting down about to eat breakfast, and Mulder tells them about the other man's body being missing. So the grave that they went to and was dug up, right?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And he said something, how could anyone do that to a grave? Blah, blah, blah. And Mulder and Scully suggest, well, could it be retaliation because of the way you've been treating the detainees in the refugee camp? And he claims that, oh, no, my men are the ones that are really being harassed. And, sure. And they leave, and he goes back to eating his breakfast, and suddenly his food starts bleeding.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so back in the car, Mulder and Scully are getting in, and she accidentally cuts her hand. And they find that there were thorns kind of like wrapped around the car's ignition.
Oh, I think I remember that. Yeah.
And they drive off, and that symbol was under their car in like chalk or something.
Oh, okay.
So we then see the colonel having someone beat Beauvais.
Oh, Jesus.
And yeah, the colonel is saying to tell him the secret while he can still talk. Which honestly, I don't think we ever get an answer to what the secret is.
I know in the book Hatchet by Gary something, the secret was Brian's parents got divorced.
Oh, so there was a big secret in that book?
Yeah. Did you read Hatchet?
Yeah, but I mean, once a long time ago, and I probably skimmed.
Me and my friends got obsessed with it, but not because we liked it, but because we thought it was kind of dumb, but kind of interesting. I don't know. But yeah, I was just talking about it with somebody how there's this big thing about the secret because he the kid gets plane crash and has to survive on his own for a little bit in the wilderness, and he's got a hatchet, and he keeps thinking about the secret with a capital S and the secret, and then it is that his parents got divorced, and I think maybe in the time it came out that was a much bigger deal, but we read it in the mid-90s. Actually, we read it the year this episode came out, and it was yeah.
I thought you were going to say the year our parents got divorced.
No, not quite.
Also in the 90s.
Before, yeah. But yeah, so it's a lot of people's parents are divorced.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird. And yeah, there was a lot of just semi meant to be poetic, the secret, talking about the secret. Yeah. So anyway, I tend to still think that. So anyway, maybe the secret that they're trying to get Beauvais to reveal is that Brian's parents were getting divorced.
Maybe.
That's my theory. Okay.
Sure. So Mulder finds a playing card with a 10 on it in his hotel room. So we see him doing that. And then we see him then out by Highway 10 in his car meeting with X.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
No.
Come on, man.
I know.
All right. If I had not already watched this series, I would think maybe you made up this character because he's never in episodes I watch. And we even flip-flopped so that I got
Yep, this would have been yours. Uh-huh.
He's meeting with X?
Yes.
Oh my
I'm so
God.
Sorry.
So did X leave him the playing card?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With him. Yeah.
Okay. God damn it. All right.
Okay. It's not even like that integral to the plot, honestly.
Just showing off.
He's just showing off. Yeah. So X says that Mulder's investigation is faltering, and he tells them that within 24 hours, they're going to lose access to the base and that Mulder and Scully are going to be called away on urgent business. And he also talks about how the military is sanctioning the Colonel's revenge. And Mulder is reasonably pissed off that they're treating innocent civilians this way.
Yeah.
And X kind of talks a little bit about how, I wonder if he's kind of used as a plot device of like someone who knows more about the government's involvement in this stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
To make you feel better. And, you know, tells them a little bit about like the U.S. history, not in specifics, but just how, we treat people in refugee camps really shitty.
God.
And so then we see Scully on the phone trying to get to the other Private Dunham. Mm-hmm. And she goes to tell Mulder, but he's not in his hotel room, but the door is unlocked. So she hears a shower running and is like, gonna walk in the bathroom, which is interesting for reasons. And then she sees that water is on the floor and there's blood in it. And so she opens the door and there's first of all, a very nice like clawfoot bathtub in this hotel.
God, I love a nice bathtub in a hotel. Oh my God. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But there's a body in this one and it's dumb.
Oh, well, that's not great.
Yeah, that's less fun.
Yeah.
And Mulder comes in with McAlpin at gunpoint and says that he found him wandering around outside. So,
and have they asked him anything like, hey, how come you're alive, etc.?
He doesn't remember.
Okay.
So then they're talking to him more, and he says he doesn't recall much of anything the last few days. And he remembers being there. He doesn't really specify where, I think the hotel. And he remembers seeing Dunham in a pool of blood, but doesn't remember killing him. But apparently he confessed to it and signed it.
Oh, okay.
And so Mulder asks for a word from the Colonel, who's been standing there observing the questioning. And Mulder says he wants to talk to Beauvais, but apparently he's dead, Colonel says.
Oh, my God.
By apparent suicide.
Sure.
Uh-huh. So the Colonel leaves after that. Scully has a headache and her hand hurts where she got scratched by the thorns.
Ooh, yeah.
So Mrs. McAlpin calls and asks Mulder and Scully to come over. And she says that there's no way that he killed Dunham, that they were friends, and that Dunham apparently was over there last night and said that if anything happened to him, to give this envelope to Mulder and Scully. And it's pictures of Beauvais and the Colonel together in Haiti. So the Colonel, when he was serving in Haiti, must have known Beauvais from there. So this was pre them meeting him as a refugee.
Yeah.
So they go and are snooping around the Colonel's office, and they find reports left out with blood on them that both Dunham and McAlpin signed complaining about the Colonel. So like they were going to take their complaints to higher ups about his treatment of the
Colonel
refugees.
is behind everything then, is what we're seeing.
Kind of. Yeah. Mulder also holds up some dog tags. And as he's showing Scully, he says the name, or look at the name. And then someone comes in, someone with a gun. And I think it's like a soldier who caught them sneaking around.
Yeah. Okay.
And he says, well, no, Beauvais got what he deserved. And Scully says that they actually suspect that maybe the Colonel was trying to silence the privates who were complaining about the treatment of the refugees, about his,
Yeah.
And so they look inside the trunk, and there's the dog tags that they did not. I didn't they didn't show a trunk beforehand either. They just...
Oh, just so I'm clear, we don't mean of a car. We mean like a trunk in a room.
We mean like a... Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Apparently this is where Mulder found the dog tags. I don't know if it was one of those things where like the lighting wasn't good and so I didn't see what he pulled them out of.
It's really dark. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also a skeleton that is very clean. But anyway. And it's the other private who was killed and had been exhumed, who's named Gutierrez, we find out.
Oh, okay. The one who died a while ago before the episode started. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
So there, apparently Dunham is being buried. Beauvais is being buried. Beauvais is being buried.
Okay.
And so they go to the graveyard and there's a bunch of candles lit and you can see the colonel operating like the winch, the thing, that, I don't know the official term, whatever lowers the casket.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's holding a knife, which is cool. Ooh. And Mulder and Scully pull up and Scully has a bad headache. So she stays in the car and she looks over at Mulder as he's leaving really creepily. She like kind of looks at him and then her mouth starts bleeding.
Oh, God.
And the wound on her hand starts leaking fluid and something starts like kind of coming out of it.
Ugh.
And then a guy comes in and grabs her by the throat and is speaking.
In the car.
Yeah. And is speaking Haitian French, I think, to her.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Mulder goes into the cemetery and sees all the candles and stuff. And the colonel is making the same symbol. The veve. In salt or something white.
Yeah.
And starts talking to Mulder in Haitian French in a super creepy voice, like a gravelly possessed sort of a voice.
Oh, a possessed voice. Okay.
Yeah. And he stabs the ground and Mulder collapses in pain.
Ooh.
And suddenly Beauvais is there and his eyes are doing a glowy thing.
Oh, okay.
Remember, he was supposed to be in the casket.
Yes.
And he blows dust, goofer dust, presumably, into the colonel's eyes.
Oh,
so he like is standing right behind him after he stabs the ground, which hurts Mulder.
Right.
Blows dust in his eyes. So then we see Scully, who's struggling in the car, and it like kind of looks like the guy who attacked her might be like drinking her blood or something. It's real unclear. Again, lighting is an issue.
Yeah.
And she sees the charm that Chester sold them hanging on the rearview mirror. And so she like is slowly reaching towards it and she finally grabs it. And when she grabs it, she like snaps to and she's fine. And there's no one there.
Oh.
Yeah. And we hear a cat meow.
So we are meant to think that Chester is a cat.
Yeah. So she goes in search of Mulder and finds him collapsed. And then finds the colonel collapsed as well. The colonel is dead.
Great.
And Mulder says that Beauvais was there and that he did it. And then it shows that Beauvais is still in his coffin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So it's the next day and it looks like they're taking the refugees somewhere. And Mulder and Scully are looking at the passenger manifest and talking to, I don't know, some soldier in charge. And she's like, there's a kid, Chester Bonaparte, his name isn't listed here. And the guy they're talking to says, well, no, he died 6 weeks ago in the riot.
He was the kid who died.
Ooh,
I didn't expect that. I kind of like that.
I know.
I mean, it's like once you say it, it sounds kind of like, expected, traditionally creepy, but I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then it shows the cemetery worker and his dog, and he's like got a backhoe and is covering up a grave. And the dog is just kind of sitting there being a good dog. Nice. And it shows the inside of the casket, and Colonel Markham is inside screaming and banging on the lid.
Whoa! Ooh!
Yep. End of episode.
Oh my God! Wow!
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't talk much about zombification. The idea essentially is that people are given some sort of mix of toxins or poisons or something that puts them into an almost dead state that can kind of trick people into thinking they're dead, but they're not. And I mean, there's like a big history that I guess I kind of don't have time to go into,
Mhm.
but that is, I think, the implications.
Okay, I feel like this might get examined in Weekend at Bernie's too. I'm not sure.
Really?
But that's the one, yeah, because the premise of Weekend at Bernie's,
Yeah.
where they have to pretend their boss is alive,
Yeah.
But then my understanding is that in the sequel, they go to this island in the Caribbean, and something happens where Bernie, like, the corpse gets possessed or something, and because there's like
Really?
he dances, I guess, and I think there's some zombie voodoo stuff.
Oh.
I don't think it's a good film. I never saw it, but my understanding is that even people who like Weekend at Bernie's think Weekend at Bernie's 2 is pretty bad.
Wow.
Other thing of note, the resort where it was filmed is where our friend Chris and his wife went on their honeymoon.
No kidding.
Yeah, which was like part of the draw, I think, for Chris. He's a big Weekend at Bernie's fan.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, I think there's a scene where the corpse has like kind of been zombified, come alive, and he like does the conga, maybe. Yeah, I'm not an expert, but yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
So that's Colony is up next.
Colony's
Presumably you'll see X in that one.
Don't even say it.
Yeah. Okay.
But Colony and Endgame, big conspiracy episode. I'm sure we'll see Smoking Man.
Yep.
I remember loving these episodes. They I don't always remember which is which in the conspiracy two-parters, but I like them all. So it should be good.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have any stories, do we?
We don't have any official listener stories. No, I don't think so. I felt like I had some story. It was creepy, but I don't remember what now.
Do you want to give a brief overview of the Highgate Cemetery since you mentioned it?
I would love to. The Highgate Vampire was a thing in the 70s where at Highgate Cemetery, which had started, basically all the little cemeteries inside London got way too full and way too gross. So they built Highgate, which was at the time outside London. And it was a big, giant cemetery. And pretty much almost right away, it was like, we don't have the ability to maintain this. And it was very poorly maintained, jungly, lots of things falling apart, the stones.
Jungly.
Overgrown plants and stuff. And
wow.
And huge. Not like the one where I saw the Demon Bunny.
To Père Lachaise? Since
that's a good, I'd say it's probably about the size of Père Lachaise.
Okay.
But
that's
it's very
big.
different in that Père Lachaise, I feel like, has a lot of open vistas, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
But this has tall trees, like really tall trees all over. So it's hard to see a far distance ever.
Have you ever been to the big Lutheran cemetery out by Midvale? I can't think of the name of it. There's some famous, like, I think Babcock is buried there. There's like some famous Madisonians. It's not where Chris Farley. It's across the street from where Chris Farley is interred.
Oh, then I've driven
the
by
Catholic
it.
one.
I think I may have been there. I think I assumed they were all part of the same thing.
So one is Catholic and is Resurrection Cemetery. The other is the big like Protestant one.
Okay.
And it's like I've like driven through there a few times. It's a little creepy. It's a little. There's like some really, really big trees and like some like. Lots of twisting roads and hard to see.
You should go to London. You got to go to London.
I should go to London.
You can comparatively affordable flights directly. Yeah, you got to get to London because you'd love Highgate.
Oh, cool.
Because apparently it's in better condition now. But in the 70s, it's kind of fallen apart. There's some people that are a part of this like black magic society in London. Mm-hmm. And there's a schism in the group where I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but two of them who are like magicians hate each other. And so they're like doing a lot of like talking shit about each other. One of them claims that they saw a vampire there and that like he's going to stay there all night to try to find a vampire that he witnessed. God, because there are all these reports over time of, on this one stretch of road within the cemetery, we'd see a man walk towards a fence and then disappear, or like a lot of creepy stories. And so one of the guys in this occult society, that's what it is, not black magic. They say occult. Says, I saw this man. he was a vampire. And they get sort of a vampire frenzy craze where people get interested in it, and they're like, he's being interviewed on like the news and stuff in sort of a tongue-in-cheek way, and he's saying like eventually there's like the other magician is like, no, he's full of it, but he's also claiming some real weird stuff, and like crowds are showing up, and supposedly there's going to be a magician's duel, but it never actually happens. The two guys are going to like duel each other, and then but then some graves start getting desecrated, and like some people who live in a house nearby find a headless body on their car.
God.
That had come from the cemetery. And so it's like things are getting really, really out of control. One of the magicians gets arrested for doing something threatening to the other through the mail, I would say. And
were they kind of like ramping up the hysteria? Like, was this like kind of, okay, I see.
And so they eventually form this Friends of Highgate Cemetery Society that like raises money to maintain it. And they get very, very strict about entry, and it's in better shape now, which blows my mind because it still has like a real wild atmosphere to it. It's like, very atmospheric and mossy. And it's awesome. And there's like big crypts you can go in on the tours and everything. And it's so cool. But
that is cool.
We asked if we could have a tour, as we said, we were doing a group related to vampires. And the guy was like, no. And he was quite rude and mad. And it was very clear that it was like he feared we were going to be like these people from the 70s, and we were going to show up and be disrespectful. And we were like, no, it's like a history thing. And it was just like, no. But we ended up getting a tour a different way. We just scheduled it directly using a different email address, and we got a really cool tour guide who I think we'd try to work with in the future. He was amazing and really smart, and he talked a little bit about the vampire history stuff, but they're clearly like, they don't want to play into it too much because they're trying to move away from that and be respectful, which I get with all the crazy shit that happened. Like,
it's uncool.
It's uncool. Graverobbing is uncool. That should have been like one of the campaigns they had, maybe somebody on a skateboard. But I absolutely recommend a visit to Highgate Cemetery.
Cool.
It's so cool. And then it's real near this really old pub that's supposedly haunted. And then also near Hampstead Heath, which is like a really spooky park.
Cool.
Where like it's kind of spooky, but then also there's a lot of dogs. So running about off leash. So
kind
it's great
of combination.
It is.
Cool.
Yeah. So I don't have any other stories or announcements. We'll watch Helen next.
Great.
Yeah. And till next week. Oh, subscribe.
Yes.
Do that. And, download and rate us, follow us, share us, tell people about us. There we go.
Yeah. Sounds good. Bye.
All right. Bye.